So last but not least, I'm going to talk about volumes. So we do a lot of volumetric simulation as well. So let's say I'm going to bring the same object. So let's say I'm going to create a geometry. Volumes are a lot of pyro effects. You have seen them a lot here under this, like smoke and flame and stuff like that. We're gonna make. We don't want to rely on these for today. We just want to make one of them, and the reason is again to understand what's happening under the hood. So I call it object source, and inside that I press tab and press file and press P here. And click on that. I'm loading, so I go to back. So make sure I'm set the project to where it is. Set project. Yeah, it's already set. So when I press on job, it just jumps into that one, and I can load the statue of the guy, the big one. It's too big. Again, I add a transform node. Make it 1/10 and push it back slightly so it would be on center, or we can even I can even rotate it. Rotate it minus 90 so that it points at the Z direction. So sometimes you might have asked, okay, so those of you who are good at like direction and stuff, you know that this is a local coordination. So, but the global coordination, Z is this direction. You see that Z is up, so it's pretty much local. So by pressing M on keyboard, Houdini swaps between like local, so like word coordination or object coordination and stuff like that. So let's turn this into cloud. So you realize that we used last time ISO offset. Click on that, it turned into cloud. And this cloud is made out of voxels. What is voxel? So you have heard of pixels. Pixels are the little boxes that make an image. Voxels are little tiny boxes that make a geometry, a volumetric geometry. So when I change this uniform sampling, you see that it's actually like turned into like different voxels. So when I go high, so you see that the cloud is start to show up, maybe 100. So to see it better, I add a skylight. So here you can see that like, oh, there are like, so yeah, it's true. There are a bunch of volumetric boxes or voxels. So it's good to clean up your tree in Houdini. So like I close these lights. Maybe I create a camera as well. So if this is a good angle for you, instead of clicking on the camera on shelf, hold Control and click on that. When you hold Control and click on the camera is added where the perspective is looking at. So that's my camera. So I can group them and click here. You see that one? Create a network box. And I call that light and camera. So my light and camera is categorized here. So it's neat, nice and neat. If I move, the camera is jumping out. So whenever I want, I can jump onto my camera. If you want to change your camera, just lock it and do your changes, and then unlock it. So then it jumps out. So I can turn off the visibility of my lights and camera off, so I don't want to see them. Okay, so this is a good start. I created my volumetric cloud, but you can even like make it look nicer in a fake way. So let's say instead of increasing, so because increasing voxels, you see that I middle click on that, it says 110 kilobytes of memory is occupied. So when I go like 1000, it's not like 10 times more. 1000 is like, it gets increased exponentially. You see that it starts to like do a lot of, you see that it's calculating SDF or like the volumetric. It exponentially gets much more complicated. Oh, it takes ages, I think. So I can press escape to avoid that, and instead of 1000 I say 200. So that should be processed faster. So 200, you see that it's 4 megabytes. So it's not double the size of 800 kilobytes. It suddenly occupies a lot of memory. So you can do some fake enhancement. So one of them is volume mix. So sometimes you might say, okay, if I add this node or that, Houdini help is really helpful. So you just like make sure you refer to the help, or just select what you have, and then click on when you bring the attributes, just click on the help, and it directs you operation info, gives you, so like, oh, that one, it takes you to the Houdini documentation, and you find loads of amazing information there. It's very comprehensive. Just like if you don't know what to do, just go there and read that, how it works. So volume mix, it's basically just making it look thicker. So like, but by this pulse multiplication, see that, just like it just, I work on with the shadows. Maybe I add like, yeah, I just give it 100. I don't want to make it too complicated. Okay, so now I want to like add a bit of turbulence and just like blow this cloud away. I create again, you remember that we started creating a dynamic in a DOP network. I create a DOP network. If you have used these buttons on top, these buttons on top shelf, you see that automatic DOP network is added. It means that the Houdini has automatically added that DOP network, but we are creating it now. It's empty because I have to load this cloud into my environment. So how I do that, so I hide this volumetric object. I'm going to turn it into a smoke. So we have smoke object. I load the smoke object, but I don't see anything. I press P, and in initial data, I say that my density surface operator, or in another word, my object is. So let's add a output here. I usually add it at the end of that. A null object, null. I call it out obj. Or here it's out volume because it has turned into volume. Volumetric object. So here I say that the surface that you're looking for is this out volume, I accept. But still I don't see anything, because you know what? The class, any sort of simulation, it happens in a contained environment. If it's supposed to happen in infinite environment, it needs infinite amount of resources and memory and stuff and computation. So that's why it happens inside this box, little box. You see that box? I hover on those little triangles and move it up. Oh, things are coming out. I started to see stuff. Oh. Okay, so I see that like it gets shaped inside that. So it's basically the smoke is inside that box. I make it even larger because because I want that after like this smoke is simulated, it happens inside this box. Okay, so if I play, anything happens? No, because there's no there's no brain calculating volumes now. So I add a what was it? I add a pyro solver. This pyro solver, what would happen? If I play it, you see that it just disappears. It doesn't do anything. It's just like, it's kind of dissipation. The reason is that this pyro, so if I play it back and forth, you see that it just dissipates. The reason that is this pyro simulation, it has solver, it has a bunch of like shape micro solvers. So one of them is dissipation, which is active. There's this disturbances and shredding and sharpening. So these are like help you create like very complicated, very fun to look at, very nice and professional like simulations. Or either you can bring in these micro solvers the way you like. So let's say I use a gas dissipation by myself, and I plug it where? So if you get confused, you just like hover on top of them. So this one says that this one is object, this one is pre-solve, it's not there. This one is velocity, yes, that's the one that I want to plug it in. This one is advection, and this one is sourcing, which is like for emission. So that middle one. So when I turn it on, so there's an evaporation rate. Maybe, I don't know, half, let's say. What would happen? It evaporates. It just dissipates. But alongside dissipation, I want it to become a bit blurry as well. So maybe like a bit of blurriness as well. So you see that maybe more. Maybe more. It gets like kind of not only this disappearing, but also like kind of, you see that a blur is applied. It's fun, more fun to look at. Now I'm gonna combine this micro solver, the gas dissipation, with gas turbulence. How to merge them together? With merge, as simple as that. You add a merge here, you combine them together. So we have two micro solver driving the simulation now. So let's play it. You can see, I think we need, so because this is like a huge object and complicated, we need like a much more dramatic turbulence. So if I scrub through like this, the turbulence is so tiny. So I select that one, press P, more turbulence, maybe 5, scale it like up to like 8, P back again, go. Let's see what will happen. Yeah. I want a larger scale, even larger. That's kind of fine, but it's not what I want. So I add more swirl, maybe 2, more turbulence, maybe 10, larger scale, maybe I don't know, 3. Let's see. I don't know. We have to. Yeah, that's better. We have to massage these numbers, so until that's much more dramatic, until we get what we like. Okay, so you can analyze the velocity if you go to your there are a lot of like tools. If you remember, we keep middle clicking on the objects to see how much of memory, how much of the cooking time, and information help you to become a good visual effects artist. So if you select your smoke object and press P, one of the informations that help you so much is these visualizations. So you can turn on velocity here, and you see all these like curves that show how these little volumetric elements are functioning. So red, it means there's a lot of like velocity over there, and blue means that velocity is dissipated, is faded away. So this is a very good way of analyzing your simulation. So again, pretty much like the other one, if you're happy with your simulation, you can write it on disk. You can cache it. So see, it's much nice. But these two are just like two very simple microsolver. So you can you see that you can add wind or drag, because there is air in over there. So a drag is like the resistance of air molecules that they hold this gas from acting too much. So there are a lot of like things that you can combine and get a much more dramatic simulation out of that. Once you're happy, you can even assign a material onto it. So go to the material palette and go to the volumes. So let's say below is smoke. You see that? Drag and drop it there. So that material is assigned, or just add it. Oh, not so. Just add it here, and then in your smoke object, not this one, go up. Here you can see that I can select, go to the render and say the material is this one. Material below it. So a material is assigned to that geometry, and then you can go to the material level. You remember that? So there are multiple levels that they are connected to each other. Over there, start play around with the material that you generated, adjusting the noise and everything. Yeah, that was a quick introduction to how to use volumes and how to play with them.